Are we live yet? There's no picture. We are live. Welcome to this week's Paint Your Style. This week we are doing... Welcome back to the channel. For this week's Paint Your Style, we're actually doing a repaint of a Paint Your Style from last year that I actually painted. Unfortunately, I don't have the piece though, because I let one of my friends pick her favorite piece that I'd done as a birthday gift this year. And so what I do have is the color reference card. So I've got the color reference card and a picture of what I created last year. That being said, I'm not looking at what I painted last year. For now, I've got the color reference card and I've pulled the exact color palette I used last year. And so we are going to repaint this Paint Your Style using the same reference image and the same color palette as last year without looking at the painting I did last year. So I've not seen the painting I did last year. The last time I looked at it was January when I gifted it to her for her birthday. So we're going to see how this goes, and it should be fun because I really actually enjoyed this piece. It was quite a lot of fun. It was very different, but I did have quite a lot of fun doing it. I do remember that I did pencil first. That being said, this year I'm just like doing ovals. We're just doing some ovals. I think last year I did like the full cookie thing. This year we're just doing some ovals. I don't feel the need to draw out the full cookie yet. So we have our ovals, and now I am going to grab this because this one is actually offset. I will say there were things that I did not enjoy about this piece last year. One of them was doing these cookies. They were not particularly easy, I found. So this year we're actually going to treat them all as separate. Every half of the cookie is going to be a totally separate thing because they are very separate in the image. Like they're not even, they're not lined up. So I'm going to embrace that in this. I also sort of want to throw in some black line art. I'm not going to, but I want to. Because they are macarons, they do puff up. There's also a raspberry, so I don't actually care about making this too perfect because it will be covered. Oh, this one's quite offset. It's quite a bit this way. I think last year I probably started with the background, and I'm feeling that again this year. I think that's just easier with a piece like this. do love when something like that happens and it just like sort of works. So we're just going to bring this edge over a little bit. I'm going to make this top a little bit rounder. It is sort of flatter than the rest of them, but I do still want it to be oh, I like the first one so much better. So we're actually gonna do that sort of like rounded out. I just like that look. It's not accurate to the picture, really, but as a look, I like it. It's too square. I love the corners on that first one. It's always really fun about watercolors that I'm going to end up erasing all of these lines pretty much. I'm going to end up erasing all of this right here. I might end up actually grabbing this, which is just a slightly better eraser. For my raspberry circle. There. There's where my raspberry is going to go. I don't like this corner. All right. We now have one more raspberry. So another raspberry goes here. Sort of, it needs to be slightly bigger. All right, let's do this background, which I think is probably what I did last year too. Just knowing how I work. And I think let's remove some of this charcoal. I'm not trying to get rid of all of it. We're just trying to lighten these lines. Just lighten these lines. All right, now let's grab water. We're gonna wet the whole page. And then I'm going to use, I'm gonna let that like sit for a second so that the page is damp, but that I have enough control to sort of bully it where I wanna go. And we're gonna use Kleenex. because that will help with getting it exactly where I want it to go. So we have a size 1 round. So this top corner up here is significantly darker, and we sort of fade to a light gray. And so we're going to use this gray. I do like my choices of grays last year, I have to say. Like they were solid gray choices, which doesn't surprise me. I am a big fan of gray. So it does not surprise me that I chose what were actually really solid grays for this piece. This is the wrong brush for this. I actually need something significantly larger. I want the sort of movement I need to happen. All right, let's tab where these macarons are going, because they are in light colors. If they were in dark colors, I wouldn't actually care, but they're not. They're in light colors, so it sort of matters. We're not going to lift everything though. There's no way to lift everything. That's not the goal. The goal is just to sort of lighten what we have. Actually move too much there. That needs to like settle out a little bit, because I don't want what's going on in that corner. All right, I'm actually pretty happy with that gradient, so we might just dry it there. There we go, we're dry. All right, let's grab a pink. Lovely to have you. So this is actually a repaint of a piece that I did a year ago this week. And I don't have the piece anymore because I gifted it to somebody for their birthday. I let her pick whatever piece she wanted as part of her birthday present, and she picked this piece. What I do have is the color reference card, and so I am trying to repaint this piece only using the reference picture and the exact same color palette I did last year. So we'll see how this goes. Let's grab, I want to say I used, this as my base. It seems like the right pink to be my base for all of these cookies. And then I probably use the darker pink for all of my shadows, I think. Do I actually want this brush? No. I want the Tintoretto. I keep trying to use things that aren't my Tintoretto and then realizing that really I don't like using things that aren't my Tintoretto. There's just something about the Tintoretto that is a lovely experience. And I do genuinely adore it. Once Gortzman's opens again, I might need to pick it up in a couple more sizes. Because it's such a lovely brush. Let's curve this over a little bit more. And I think last year I probably like alternated sides of, so I probably did this and then I went up there. This year though, I don't feel the need to do that. I'm gonna do one and then I'll move to something else. Ask away. Ask away. And I will try to answer as many things as I can. That was red. What I wanted was this actually, which is, I think it's called, is it Magenta Gray? I believe so. Just along this bottom edge. But I want to put it in. Paper is a little drier in some sections than others, which is not helping me out, but we'll make it work. All right, and there is a raspberry here, so that part's actually covered, which is why I'm not trying to make it super pretty. It depends on the watercolor ink. I use quite a lot of ink in my watercolor work, including fountain pen inks. Not for my commission work, but for like just playing around work. It doesn't really matter. Very little of what you create in like your playing around work is ever going to be stored in direct sunlight for 100 years, which is the light fastness standard. So if there's a color you like to use and enjoy using, my advice is always just like use it and have fun. As long as you're not using it in a commission that somebody's paying for, and if you are using it in a commission somebody's paying for, there are light fastness things you can add. There are sprays that you can put over artwork that are UV protectors. I have one. It works fairly well from what I've seen, like it works like the way it's supposed to. Watercolor inks wise, I only own one and I don't actually use it. I think I might have used it once since I purchased it. It's far more fun, I find, to use fountain pen inks. And really there is no difference between fountain pen inks and watercolors inks in my opinion. I would say probably the only difference is fountain pen inks tend to have better mold protection. I've seen some real horror stories from friends with their watercolor inks going bad, and fountain pen inks do go bad, just in less dramatic ways. But I also will use pan watercolors, and lots of my pan watercolors aren't light fast. This isn't light fast, this isn't light fast. This has mixed light fast ratings, this isn't light fast. But because it's not being stored in a gallery or in direct sunlight, it doesn't matter. Like, these are just for fun. Commissions though, I do make sure whatever I'm using is light fast. Just because that offers some peace of mind to whoever the buyer is, and it also gives you some peace of mind as the artist, knowing that what you've created for somebody is going to last in their home or in their space. The light is threatening to go out. I need it to wait until after this is over and then it can go out. I don't have to go out while I'm painting. Alright, I might have to give up on the overhead light. Right, let's grab this brush. I have not used it with fountain pen ink. The one I have, I believe, is from Krylon. I believe they make a matte, like, not shimmer, they make a matte, a gloss, and a, like, plain. I want to say they make 3 different ones, and it's from Krylon. To be honest though, I have only used it once, and I don't actually know where the container is right now, but if you Google UV spray, you should be able to find it, and I'm sure it's from Krylon. It's either Krylon or Rust-Oleum that makes it, but I feel like it's Krylon because they make most of like the artists or the very artsy spray additives for stuff. But I haven't tried it with fountain pens. I would assume that it works the same way. You just have to make sure the piece is totally dry and that you don't apply it too heavily so that things don't run, and you do it on a flat surface, which are all the recommendations for doing it on a watercolor piece, and I would just do that the same for if I was using it on a fountain pen piece. I don't think I would change anything up other than that, because really fountain pen ink is just a liquid watercolor with mold protection at the end of the day. Like, it's not, there's some other stuff that goes on with fountain pen ink, but really it's like student grade watercolor is how I describe it to people, because it's dye based, which most student grade watercolors are. It's all about, you know, color and bright colors, which lots of student grade watercolors are. And so really, I don't see a reason you couldn't use it with fountain pen ink. Let's do this top one, and then we'll dry this page again. I have to say, I do love the texture that this paint gives. In the painting, in the reference, they're flat. I love the sort of moodier look. I also had a bubblegum pink this year that I could have chosen to do this with, because Laura's come out with a couple pinks that actually are probably a better match for the original reference. But there's something about like using all of the colors that I used in the original piece in this that I really just like the idea of. So I decided to just go for it. I don't actually like macarons all that much. I'm a very picky person when it comes to cookies. Shimmery watercolors and commission work. I have used gold and silver in commission work. And I've had a couple commissions for quotes for kids' rooms over the years where they have requested commission work, where they've requested sparkly watercolor. But I also then have recommended like it doesn't get stored in direct sunlight in the kids' room. And as far as I know, those have held up fairly well. And I did those like 4 years ago. So I have used sparkly watercolors in commission work, but I do give like the disclaimer that like they shouldn't be stored in direct sunlight because there is no light fastness ratings for the metallic watercolors. And any brand that has a light fastness rating for metallic watercolors, it's really hard to know if that's actually true or not. So I go by they're really not long-term light fast, and use them if you want to use them, and just don't store them in direct sunlight. So I have used to answer your question, I have used them in commission work, and I probably will continue to use them in commission work because there are some things like room quotes for little kids' rooms that are just more fun if they're sparkly. And that's just something fun to do. So it's been a long time since I've done one of those sort of commissions. I want to say it's been 3 years, 2 or 3 years since I've done one of those. The commission work I tend to do these days is cards and paintings for people, and on occasion lettering, but the lettering I do has not been more of the quotes for rooms, though I might want to go back to doing that. Those are fun projects. They take a lot of time, but they are quite a lot of fun, and it's always interesting to see what people pick as the quotes they want for their kids' rooms. All right, let's try this page. If I'm not painting live, oh, good. They're from Krylon. I'm glad that I actually knew what brand they were from. I was fairly sure they were Krylons, but also you can never know for sure. I would say that the Krylon UV spray is sort of the one that I see also other artists talk about when they're talking about making things light fast. Like that just tends to be the standard for making things light fast in the watercolor world that aren't light fast. All right, what do I want to do next? Do I want to do the raspberries? I think so. So let's start with Ruby, which is the lighter of the reds. Actually, what we're going to do is start with water. And I'm just going to wet this and see how much I can make everything move just with water. Because there's a chance that I can make stuff move a lot. I try not to swear on live. On occasion, though, it happens. So, if you don't like swearing, I apologize. Fair enough. Yeah, I think my age demographic is like mostly 18 plus. That being said, once member streams become a thing, there will definitely be more swearing in them because I don't have to worry about ad revenue on them. For these, you have to stay advertiser friendly so that YouTube can still run ads on them. So, once members only streams start, there will be probably more swearing in those lives. And also more live painting sessions. All right. I want to fix this section. This little light section is really bugging me, but I don't know that I can fix it without messing up the entire background, so I think I have to leave it. But we're gonna dry this a little bit, I think. I hate this raspberry up top, but I don't know that I can fix it. We're gonna try though, and we're probably gonna make it worse, but I think it's a really awkward shape right now. So we're gonna make it wider. Yeah, we're gonna make it wider. Maybe it just needs to be less pointed. Are raspberries less pointed than that? Honestly, I can't remember what a raspberry really looks like. All right, we're gonna call that good, and we're gonna dry it. So, on top of everything else, I just blew a light bulb. So, apologies for the fact that it is now slightly darker. That's fun. But there's like also foliage and still the filling of them. So let's finish the raspberries actually before I get distracted by something far more fun, which is not painting raspberries. Hashtag easily distracted. Oh, and it came back on. Lovely. Oh, now it's flickering. I might have to just turn it off. All right, where is this light switch? There we go. Okay. I'd say this is not a great raspberry, but we're gonna go in and add more red and probably red and pink mixed together. Because I want them to have a whole spectrum of reds in them. But I'm trying to do this only with last year's color palette, which makes it hard because apparently I only used 2 reds last year. Which I'm not quite sure how I managed that, but you know, we'll make this work. All right. Let's grab the lightest. This brush is clean. You're still not clean. You're clean enough. The lightest of light colors. For this one here. They've all got like different filling colors. And for this one, we're going to go with, it's the darkest, which is this one. And then we've got one more, which is quite pale at the very end down here, but also like off-white colored, which is why I've grabbed this color. Oops. Oops, oops, oops. All right, let's try this again. All right. More of these little dot things. I don't know that we've got raspberry. We've got weird polka dot thing right now, which is not really conveying raspberry. So let's see if with a little bit more dragon fruit, we can get this the way I want it to be. Hello, Deb. How are you? Let's see if I can blend these dots together to look slightly more raspberry and slightly less crazy mound of, you know, stuff. All right, I think that might be more raspberry and less, you know, weirdness. The last thing is leaves. I don't like leaves. I don't like these weird like mint leaves either. Luckily the ones down here are just like a little bundle of green. I can do little bundle of green. I can do little bundle of green in my sleep. And we're using white in everything. Not because stuff needs to be lighter, but because I forgot to mask out this bottom area, and so it has no opacity. It has no blank space. It like matches the painter's tape exactly. Okay. Theoretically, I should do something in here, but I don't really want to. So let's not. I have a slightly darker green and I'm out of palette space, so I'm just like sort of dabbing it in. As needed. We're gonna maybe call that good. Sure. Then there are leaves up top. I dislike these leaves up top. I disliked them last year. I still dislike them. The difference is this year, I am just going to go for it instead of last year where I sat here with a pencil and like tried to make them perfect. I care not this year. They will not be perfect, so I'm not going to sit here and try to make them perfect. That being said, that one looks a bit odd. So let's make it wider. Let's arguably make it worse. Slash better. Giving everything irregular edges. Everything gets irregular edges. And now everything gets dark green in it. All right. I think that might be good. A little bit more green. A little bit more of both greens, actually. All right, let's dry that real quick. So there we go, a paint your style using the same color palette as last year. Oh, tape bleed, but not the same, and the same reference picture without having the painting I did last year, which is fun. It's fun to try to repaint it because I had the color reference card, so I knew exactly what I used last year when I did this piece. I'll see if I have a picture still of last year's piece when I post this to Instagram tomorrow, like how I did last week's with both this year's and last year's in the same post. I'll see if I can do that again with this year's, but I really like this year's, other than the tape bleed. But I'm gonna see if I've still got a sandpaper eraser kicking around, which I think I do. Actually, I think it's already in my Chicago stuff, so I know where it is. And it is where I think it is. It was in with my Chicago stuff. So let's see if with just a little bit of sanding, I can get rid of the majority. Wet sanding with cotton paper works significantly better, as you can see, when the paper's damp. Really just peels off. There we go. Normally for Paint Your Style, I don't actually care about cleaning up the edges, but I do really like this piece, and it's a good excuse to use the Tombow Mono for ink sandpaper erasers, which are by far one of my favorite studio tools and something that I use all the time. They're sometimes hard to find. I buy mine in a 2-pack from Amazon, but they're fabulous. And there is this week's Paint Your Style in all of its glory. So I hope you enjoyed watching. The next couple weeks Paint Your Styles are all actually pre-recorded because I am going to be away. We are taking a little bit of a vacation after the sidewalk sale, and so I've pre-recorded, I think, 4 Paint Your Styles that will be coming out on Wednesdays, same as normal. And there will be a edited version, and then there'll be a pre-recorded live version where you get to hear all the commentary and everything as I paint. So I hope you enjoyed watching the last Paint Your Style live for a couple weeks. They will be back in September, but for now, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and let me know what you think about it. It was fun. Ha! I don't actually like them all that much. My cousin makes quite good ones, but I'm not a big fan of them normally. They're just not my favorite. So I do quite like this repaint though. I like the raspberries better this year. So I also can't show it to the birthday girl who picked out last year's as her birthday gift, because I think she might like this year's better than the one she picked out last year. So I'm gonna have to keep this one for my collection so that she doesn't decide she wants to swap them. though. Even if she does, I'll let her. So I hope you enjoyed watching. Thanks for chilling with me in the chat. As always, it's lovely. And I will see you guys in a couple weeks. Can't believe this is my last live until September, but we're heading into a very busy couple of weeks, and I don't know that I'll have time to do anything live between now and then. Though I might go live later on this week to pack ink samples for the ink swap at Atlas, because I think I'll get bored doing it without having people to talk to while I do it. So we'll see if I decide to go live doing that. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys again for the next live Paint Your Style in a couple weeks. Recorded ones will start on a week Wednesday. So thanks for watching.